One of my favorite trees here, Simona triloba Paw Paw. Coming from West Tennessee, these were a lot, I don't know if they're more prevalent, but we would certainly run into them pretty frequently in the hardwood forests, kind of down in the hollows and areas kind of above the bottomlands. And the pawpaw, switch here, typically on the left side you see that's basically the way it appears naturally. It's in groups generally, grows 15 to 30 feet in height, has a spread of about 20 feet. They can certainly be used ornamentally as well. But you see that the leaves are kind of drooping, and in nature the propagation is through root. So you end up having all of these roots that spread everywhere, and plants pop up through there. So if you go out and you're trying to actually find a pawpaw to replant, it's very difficult because you end up just cutting the root off. So if we look at the range here, we see we're kind of right at the edge of the range. But it's a very adaptable tree. I'm kind of surprised this is the way the range is described, because I know that it goes down a lot further down into Florida. Foliage. It's a really tropical looking tree, which I think is one of the most appealing things about it to me. It's dark green, ovate oblong, drooping leaves. They grow up to about a foot in length. Leaves turn yellow in the fall, and one of the things that I found interesting about the pawpaw there, this picture down at the bottom, is a zebra swallowtail, and the caterpillars feed exclusively on the leaves of Simona. And it's believed that the toxins that are present within the leaves build up in the bodies of the insects, and they're actually resistant to predation from other birds and insects because of this. And so it's felt that there's kind of a coevolution of these species together because of this relationship. So you see the bark here, light gray, kind of has a blotchy appearance with some gray spots on it. Sometimes it has some kind of fissures to it, but it's pretty smooth in general. The buds are really very easy to identify in the winter because you see the kind of tip of the bud there has kind of a paintbrush appearance, and they're very velvety and soft. You can also kind of tell that there's an alternating branching pattern here. So the flowers are really very striking. Downward facing, 1 to 2 inch bell-shaped, deep purple flowers. They appear before the leafing out. They're very distinctive, but they do not smell good. They smell fetid, and they're actually pollinated by beetles and flies. They're not pollinated by honeybees, so that's the reason for that. So those insects are attracted to the decaying smell. The fruit. Has anybody had pawpaw fruit?
Yeah, I've had some.
Yeah, it's.
Did you bring some?
Unfortunately, it's very hard to get, except for when you're in season. Season is basically September, October. How would you have described it? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but.
The texture is kind of like mango, and the taste is, I mean, it's sweet but not overly sweet. I'm not sure that I can compare it to taste-wise, but it definitely has that mango texture to it.
People often say banana, vanilla, pineapple. I think all of those things kind of fit in. Like mango also as well, melon, and there's kind of a woodiness to it. It is very sweet, and you can carve out the pulp and use it in recipes for anything where you might use like banana or something. So it goes well in things like ice cream or custards or I saw some recipes for Paw Paw daiquiris that probably work.
Sounds good.
It's eaten by wildlife, of course, being a tasty fruit. Raccoons, squirrels, foxes, bears, deer. See, when you cut open, it's got basically 2 rows of seeds here. Let's see, 12 to 20 seeds per fruit, and they're pretty big. They're about an inch long. And you can cultivate from seeds. It's kind of hard to tell here, but on the left, you can see kind of all the rootings popping up there on the side of the sprouts. So that's what eventually generates that kind of pawpaw patch. But you can also buy the pawpaws from I found about 6 different nurseries that stock various varieties of pawpaw. This over here is the Kentucky State University Pawpaw research program, the only in the world. So they do a lot of work for that to clone as well as to try to identify any kind of potential other uses for pawpaw. And so let's see. And the other thing here that I think is really interesting about pawpaw is that there's a lot of, it's the only, it's the largest American fruit tree, largest fruit in American tree. Okay, does that make sense? I don't know. The fruit is the largest of any tree. So in early history, it was used quite a bit, and the Native Americans planted it. There are interesting reports from the first exposure of the Europeans to the pawpaw, where they actually described these fruits that they found. One of the officers of Hernando de Soto identified the pawpaw and described it. There's another account from a British explorer that talks about the pawpaw being about the bigness of a hen's egg, yellow, soft, and as sweet as anything can be. And then this over here is a picture of Lewis and Clark, in theory. And supposedly, they survived the end of their journey on pawpaws in western and middle Missouri because they ran out of rations. So, and of course, the traditional pawpaw patch song that pops up all the time. I don't know where that actually came from. I couldn't identify that. I don't know. Queen of Old Hawaii. That doesn't really make sense. But apparently, the pawpaw is, or the papaya is sometimes referred to the pawpaw in Pacific Island cultures. So that's just my theory. That's where that actually came from. So that's my discussion of the pawpaw tree.
Thank you, Damon. Are there questions or comments for Damon?
Yeah, I've got a question. A friend of mine was approached by some university, I can't remember which one, about planting some to research the seeds. Did you find anything about that? I mean, I don't know if it was a medicine, something medicinal about the seeds, or?
Well, yeah, actually, there are effects on cancer, believe it or not, with seeds. And so there's an anti-carcinogenic effect to the seeds, and so that's the. I mean, actually, the fruit itself is very sort of well-rounded in terms of its protein profile and vitamins. It's supposed to be one of the best fruits compared to apples and pears and whatnot in terms of the nutritional value. So.
Now, I have a pawpaw grove, and it never bears any fruit. And I read recently that I think they say they do have to have 2 different varieties, like apples. They have to be cross-pollinated. My grove is probably a clone. They're all up from the roots, and it's all the same clone. And so people say I probably have to plant a different variety nearby in order to get any fruits. And I'm thinking that might be true.
Yes, that is absolutely.
And,
I've heard that too. Because I have a single one who's never fruit.
yeah, I'd like to have
I was
fruit.
wondering about that, because you see a lot of them that don't have hardly any fruit.
Well, they say that's what someone said. I read.
Trade.
Crab one his.
Well, they had 2 that were on the west side of the square, and
Really?
they had, I mean, I saw one year, there was like, I swear there was a bushel, maybe 2 bushels
Where?
Well, Paw Paw's, just on the west side of the square as you go up the steps toward the center building, but they cut them down. They're not there anymore.
It's not good.
They think
Yeah, I
it
don't know
might-
why. Maybe they were showing disease or something.
They
but
thought
I
they were
didn't see it.
messy.
But they're not there anymore.
They do get attacked by some caterpillar, I mean, they get attacked by zebra swallowtails, but that's fine. They get attacked by another one that makes a webbing in the leaves. And I've had people call me about that and say, like, what do you do about those? And I don't know myself, because I've seen it where all the leaves get sort of webbed together. And I did look it up what species it was, but I don't remember now. They do actually do all right in sun. There's some street up near Wilson Park, I don't remember what street, where I was amazed that they were growing in full sun and looking really good. Maybe not 100% full sun, but they're not always an understory plant, and so they might actually thrive in some mild shade and fairly good sunlight, be more robust.
They need to be protected during their first few years.
Is that right?
From direct sun. And you can
It
actually-
may be direct, I mean, I shouldn't say direct sun, because this is Wilson Park, and there's a lot of trees in Wilson Park, but I was surprised at how vigorous they looked. There's some good pawpaw plants up by the Agri building on campus, too, that they planted in a wildflower area, and they're really looking lush. So like you say, they're extremely tropical in appearance, that giant leaf, and very attractive plants. Has the city thought about planting them anymore, or?
I can't recall what the issue was with the ones on the square, but that got quite a bit of complaints for those coming down. There was a reason, I just cannot recall what it was. I'm wondering why they never really caught on commercially, due to their age and their history and their quality. It seems like that would be a good commercial fruit.
Yeah, from what I read, there's the lifespan of the fruit is extremely limited, but
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Although you think it could be a processing of them, like, I mean, can you go
Yeah.
on the internet and find pawpaw jam or pawpaw syrup?
Yes.
Can you?
yes.
So,
They're
I
actually
mean-
growing in California at this point, and that's where you're starting to see that kind of.
So I mean, so that'd be one way to deal with it, instead of trying to sell them fresh and trip them around, just
Paw Paw ice cream.
make something good out of them.
That's pretty funny, Malcolm.
Any other comments or questions? Very good, Damon, thank you so much.